What's up everyone, I'm Gushy and welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to be going over the support tier list for Overwatch 2. Now in the beta nothing really changed for each support character, and it's mostly changes to the tanks and the DPS, which drastically changed the way supports play, and honestly changed the team comps that we're used to playing in Overwatch 1. I've been watching a lot of other content creators and reading feedback from support mains, and overall support players are kind of in a weird place right now. With one less tank in the fight, support players are a lot more vulnerable to flankers, which results in a playstyle where you really have to be relying on another support player, or you have to be really confident in 1v1ing some DPS characters. Or the last option is playing a support character that has good mobility and a really good way to escape just in case you need to get out of a fight. So in this video we're going to be going over each support character, their strengths and their weaknesses as I played with them throughout the beta and putting them on this tier list. To give you guys a little context, I've played Overwatch 1 since launch. I've been through all the different metas and the balance changes. I've peaked around Masters, but as I've been playing less and less, I'd say I'm usually around Diamond. So I'd say this video is made for the average player and not more for the top 500 players. Alright, to start off we have Ana. And I'd say easily Ana is S tier. With Blizzard trying to take out the shields in the game, and the fact that the shield tanks aren't as good as they used to be means that Ana can use her anti-grenade a lot more offensively to stop the enemy team from healing. With the Orisa rework, the only shield tanks we have to worry about are Reinhardt, Sigma, and Winston. Reinhardt is pretty easy to land antis on. Teams that usually run a Reinhardt play together, so when he drops that shield, most likely you'll get at least 3 enemies with a nade. Also, now that Reinhardt has 2 fire strikes available, that's one more opening to land your bio nades. For Sigma, again, he has a cooldown on his shield, so it doesn't get moved around a lot, and honestly I haven't seen many Sigmas played in the beta. I think the biggest counter is Winston, as he does fight close quarters, and with his high mobility, it usually isn't worth it to walk into his bubble just to land that bio nade. Now the only problem is with Ana's survivability, and as always that's where sleep comes in handy. Instead of high mobility, you have a skill shot with the sleep, and I think this is the main factor in deciding if you're going to be playing Ana or not. If you're comfortable landing your sleeps, or if you know you have some really good positioning, I'd say Ana still is a really good pick. Next up we have Lucio. Because a lot of these stuns were removed from the game, Lucio is pretty much free to ride around without getting stunned. Lucio I think goes into an A tier. I'd say lower than Ana because the utility that Ana provides with Bionade versus Lucio's speed boost is a little bit less impactful. Because of the new map design, there's a lot more 1v1 or 2v2 duels, which if Lucio is playing with another DPS or a tank character, Lucio provides that opportunity to quickly jump onto an enemy if they're separated from a team. And I think that's the biggest strength of Lucio. Again, this tier list is for the average player, so we're all not like Red Shell and can go just straight up DPS Lucio. So I think the higher skill level you are, the more useful Lucio will be. As we get into several of these other characters, the same concept will apply. If you are able to do a lot of DPS with your character as well as healing, the more value that you provide, which again will bump you up the tier list. Unlike Ana though, you have great mobility, so if you can't take those DPS 1v1s, at least you can get out safely with your speed boost. Another thing to mention is that Lucio's beat is actually really good, and with one less tank means that there's one less big AoE ult you have to worry about. Next up we have Mercy, and I'd say she's around B or C tier, but I think I'll leave her around C tier strictly because all she does is mostly heal, and I think res is a lot less impactful than before. Because Overwatch 2 is now a 5v5, one more person in a fight doesn't make that much of a difference compared to the previous 6v6. Not to mention the new map designs, which has a lot more flank routes, which really encourages different duels on different parts of the map, which kind of makes res a little bit harder to pull off. Now the one reason, and I think the most important reason you want to be picking Mercy is for that damage boost. I've got to say, with a Mercy pocket, a DPS player can get their ult super quick. With Mercy you can definitely have the ult advantage, and if you're pocketing different people at the right times, you can really cycle your ults really efficiently. Also, if you just have a cracked DPS player with a Mercy pocket, they are really hard to kill. So I'd say Mercy is kind of dependent on the level of skill of your teammates, but no doubt if you're a decent Mercy player and you're really good at staying alive, Mercy can be a really good pick for high heals, the occasional res, and building your teammates ult as fast as possible. Next up we have Moira. I'd say Moira for the average player is easily S tier. Moira in general has a pretty low skill floor. This means that it's really easy to pick up Moira and get a lot of value from her. You don't have to aim her healing, her biotic grass is really easy to get damage in, and I think she has one of the best mobility abilities with her fade. Not only can you use it offensively but also defensively to get out of sticky situations. If you're going up against lower skilled players, you really can 1v1 some DPS characters, especially with her damaging biotic orb. Finally, with her coalescence, I'd say it isn't the best defensively, but again offensively it's a really good tool to initiate a fight, quickly finish off an enemy, and kind of force your team to push forward. If you're a support player and you just kinda hate dying, you can switch to Moira, stay super safe with your fade, and duel, or at least scare away some flanking DPS. Next up, we have Brigitte. Just like Mercy, I'm going to put Brigitte in the C tier, mostly because she can't support other players in a unique way like the other characters. And if you are using Brigitte, the best way to support other players is honestly just to be as offensive as possible. Of course, the more damage you do with your flail, the more you'll heal your teammates, and that's pretty much the extent of it. Her armor packs are kind of useful for additional healing, but because they remove the stun from her shield bash, she gets a lot less value for her abilities. I think just like Lucio, the better you are playing Brigitte, and more specifically if you can duel those DPS characters, the more value you'll get out of her. In the right situations, Brigitte can be a menace on the battlefield and possibly be another DPS character. And again, like I said before, the more damage that you do, the more healing that you do. Next up, we have Zenyatta. Now this might be a little controversial, but I'm putting Zen in A tier above Lucio. I really rate these heroes depending on how much you can support other players and how easy it is to do so. Now just like Ana's bio grenade, Zenyatta's discord is really easy to apply to enemies, again now that there's less shields in the game. I really like putting this on tanks, as you can easily burst down a couple of the tanks that don't use cover properly to quickly take them down. Of course, since all your teammates can't see the discord, it kind of encourages teammates to focus a specific enemy in most situations. Now the reason why this is controversial is because Zenyatta has probably one of the worst survivabilities in the game. It does help that all healers have passive healing, but if you're caught out and you can't take those 1v1 DPS duels without support from your teammates, you're basically screwed. This makes positioning more important while playing Zenyatta. However, I really do think that the value that Discord provides heavily outweighs the downsides. A really good Zenyatta is basically a third DPS, which again you can say for other characters, but Zen definitely has the highest DPS out of all the support characters. Another thing to mention is Zen's Transcendence, which like in Overwatch 1 is probably one of the best defensive ults in the game. So with Transcendence and Discord, I really do think that for the average player, Zen does provide more value. Finally, we have Baptiste. And Baptiste is a hard one because he used to be really good in Overwatch 1, but I think he has fallen a little bit, and I'm putting him at B tier. Bap's greatest tools in both Overwatch 1 and Overwatch 2 are his Immortality Field and his ult Amplification Matrix. The Immortality Field is just as good as before, but in Overwatch 2 with the new map designs, which again promotes flanking and a lot more duels in different parts of the maps going on simultaneously, you're not going to be saving your teammates as often. Same goes with the Amplification Matrix. Because there's a lot of flanks, some teams don't really play together, which I think is a good thing for Overwatch in general, but a disadvantage to Bap, as teams can easily reposition to a different angle, and flankers can easily attack from different angles as well. Now the one good thing that Bap has is the Exo Boots. This gives a decent mobility and lets you get to high ground to get a better vantage point to heal people with your biotic launcher. As mentioned before, if you're good at doing DPS with Bap and can take those duels with DPS characters, his value does go up significantly as well. And with that, that's my tier list of the support characters in the Overwatch 2 beta. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you agree with these placements? Or if you're not in the beta, what support characters are you excited to play? As always, thank you guys for watching and I hope to catch you in the next one.